There are moments in life when the weight of chains seems unbearable. Chains of fear, chains of addiction, chains of shame. Chains of circumstances we never asked for but somehow found ourselves in. Sometimes those chains aren't visible, but they are heavy on the soul. And if you've ever felt trapped, stuck in a season you couldn't break out of, wondering if God could really show up for you, then this message is for you. Because we serve a God who doesn't just notice chains, he specializes in breaking them. The Bible is filled with stories of freedom. Time after time, God steps into the lives of people who thought there was no way out, and with one move, one word, one miracle, he shattered the chains that held them. Think about Paul and Silas. They were thrown into a dark, cold prison, their feet locked in stocks, their bodies beaten, their future uncertain. By all accounts, they were chained both physically and situationally. But instead of giving in to despair, they lifted their voices in prayer and worship. And what happened? At midnight, an earthquake shook the very foundations of the prison. The doors flew open, and every chain fell off. Not some, not most, but every chain. That's the kind of God we serve. A God who not only delivers his people, but does it in such a way that no one can deny his power. And maybe that's where you are right now. Maybe you feel like Paul and Silas, confined, pressed on every side, without an exit in sight. Maybe your prison isn't made of bricks and iron bars, but of loneliness, of financial struggles, of broken relationships, of inner battles nobody else sees. Yet here's the good news. Midnight is when God does some of his best work. He doesn't need perfect circumstances to set you free. He can shake the ground beneath your feet and break open the very things that tried to keep you bound. God's power to break chains didn't end in the New Testament. Look at the story of Israel in Egypt. For over 400 years they lived in slavery, shackled by oppression. Generations were born and died under the weight of Pharaoh's hand. To them, freedom wasn't just unlikely, it was unthinkable. Yet God raised up Moses, and with his mighty hand and outstretched arm, he broke the chains of a nation. He parted seas. He sent manna from heaven. He led them out with silver and gold, not broken, not empty-handed, but blessed. What does that tell us? That no chain is too ancient, no bondage too long-standing for God to break. You might be dealing with something that runs in your family line, something you've struggled with for years, but if God could break the chains of a nation after centuries, he can break yours today. And here's something important. When God breaks chains, he doesn't just set you free, he makes a statement. He shows the world that he alone is God. Remember when Lazarus died? 4 days in the tomb, wrapped in grave clothes, surrounded by mourners. By then, everyone believed it was over. But Jesus showed up, not late, but right on time, and called him out by name. Lazarus, come forth. And he came out, still bound in grave clothes, until Jesus gave the command, loose him and let him go. Chains of death, chains of decay, chains of finality, all broken with one word. That's the God who specializes in freedom. He speaks into dead situations, and suddenly what was impossible becomes possible. Maybe there are grave clothes wrapped around your life right now, dreams buried, hope buried, joy buried. But just as Jesus called Lazarus out, he is calling you out. He is speaking life into your situation. And when he speaks, no grave, no stone, no chain can hold you. But let's be real for a moment. Sometimes the chains aren't physical or external, they're internal. The chains of guilt from past mistakes. The chain of unforgiveness, either toward yourself or others. The chain of fear that whispers, you'll never be enough, you'll never make it out. These chains are heavy because they attack the mind and the heart. But here's the truth. Jesus came not only to set captives free in the flesh, but also in the spirit. Isaiah 61 says, "The Spirit of the Lord is upon me. He has sent me to proclaim liberty to the captives and the opening of the prison to those who are bound." That means the freedom Jesus brings isn't temporary. It's not partial, it's complete. Think of Peter in Acts 12. Locked up in prison, guarded by soldiers, chained between two men. The church was praying without ceasing, and in the middle of the night, an angel appeared. The light shone in the prison, the chains fell off his hands, and the angel led him out past every guard until he was completely free. Notice something. Peter didn't have to fight the guards. He didn't have to force the chains off. When God sends his deliverance, the chains fall effortlessly. Sometimes we think we have to struggle and strive to get free, but when God steps in, he does in a moment what years of effort couldn't accomplish. Maybe you've been wrestling with something for a long time. Maybe you've tried self-help, tried running away, tried numbing the pain. But the real breakthrough won't come from your effort. It will come from his presence. Because freedom isn't found in more striving. Freedom is found in surrender. And here's the beauty. When God breaks your chains, it's not just for you. Your freedom becomes a testimony. Think back to Paul and Silas. When the prison doors opened and the chains fell off, the jailer's life was transformed too. He and his entire household came to believe in Jesus. Your deliverance can open the door for someone else's salvation. Your testimony of freedom can be the very key that unlocks hope in another person's life. That's why the enemy fights so hard to keep you bound, because he knows your freedom will ripple into the lives of others. Sometimes, though, we get so used to our chains that freedom feels uncomfortable. The Israelites longed for freedom, but once they were out, some of them wanted to go back to Egypt because it felt familiar. Don't miss this. God didn't set you free to go back. He didn't break your chains so you could return to the same bondage. Freedom requires faith. It requires trusting that God's plan on the other side of the chains is better than what you left behind. And maybe that's your word today. Don't go back. Don't settle for the comfort of chains when God is calling you into the unknown of freedom. The wilderness may feel uncertain, but it's the path to your promised land. Freedom also comes with responsibility. Galatians 5:1 says, "It is for freedom that Christ has set us free. Stand firm then, and do not let yourselves be burdened again by a yoke of slavery." In other words, once God breaks your chains, protect your freedom. Don't entertain the lies that once held you. Don't open doors that God has closed. Walk in the liberty he has given you and let it shape every part of your life. So let me ask you, what chains are you carrying right now? What prison are you in? Whatever it is, know this: God hasn't forgotten you. The same God who opened prison doors, who split seas, who rolled away stones, who caused chains to fall in the middle of the night, it is the same God who is working in your life right now. He hasn't lost his power. He hasn't run out of miracles. And he certainly hasn't given up on you. You may feel bound, but you are not abandoned. You may feel stuck, but you are not forsaken. The chains around you are no match for the God within you. Lift your eyes, lift your voice, call on his name. Because when you do, chains break, doors open, and freedom comes rushing in. God specializes in freedom. It's not just something he does, it's who he is. And as he did it before, he can do it again. Your story is not over. Your prison is not permanent. Your chains are not final. Today is your reminder. The God who breaks chains is still at work, and your freedom is closer than you think.